Yes, you are. Thank you for. Is he out of his truck? Do you know?
I don't. Did you guys see Ralph pulling? Or?
I saw his truck.
Oh, you did?
It's playing bingo.
I'll be there.
Hopefully we'll let somebody know.
Well,
Yeah, blame
I know you know. Oh, you got 2 spots to go.
Are you ready to roll? Why don't we shut the door and you can come in like a schedule? Oh, okay.
Where'd you find mine?
Yeah, I don't want to-
Oh, okay.
We need to go.
No, there's not.
The town's gonna fall apart. You hold it. Oh, you guys had the water main break today.
Yep.
too. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Town Council Financial Oversight Committee meeting of April 27th, 2023. First, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would like to ask if anyone here other than LCAT is reporting, please let us know. Hearing none, thank you, Jamie, for being here. I'd like to start with introductions, and we will start with the committee. We've got a full house here today, and I want audience members to know that it is your choice if you want to identify yourself or not. But we will go around the table, and then we can, I'll let Bruce handle his crew first, and then anyone else who wants to identify themselves may. So we can start.
Sure. Matt Boucher, Town Council.
Kathy Hill, Town Council.
Jim White, committee member.
Jay Sealer, Committee Member.
Dawn Starks, Sheriff.
Ralph Page, Town Council President, ex officio.
And Bruce Fenney, Superintendent of Public Works. I would also like to introduce my team. We have Mark Behrman, our Deputy Superintendent, Town Engineer. We have Robert Roy, our Facilities Manager. We have Robert Tadia, our Operations Administrator. And we have Daryl Keene, Highway and Utilities Manager, and Felix Vachon, our Water and Sewer Administrator.
Thank you. And if anyone else would like to start in the front row, if you want to identify yourself or not.
Chris you're just sitting in to assist the committee.
Marilyn Richards, Town Council Vice President.
Mary McNally, Town Manager.
Yay?
Kim Collins, Director of Finance.
Tom Christensen, Deputy Town Manager.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we will move on. First order of business will be the meeting minutes, and through basically going through the round robin here, Jay Sealer will be
Process
taking
of elimination.
yes the meeting minutes for today's meeting, and we were commenting that Jim White drew the short straw and had to write the meeting minutes of the last meeting, which was, as we know, school budget is very complicated and a large budget, so his meeting minutes corresponded to that. So, does anyone have any questions or anything about the meeting minutes? I did have one, and that was at the end, and it says, Thompson mentions the May 8th school committee meeting and welcomes everyone to attend. I was confused, was that May 8th or was that the May 18th? And Greg, May 18th, correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Just a reminder for
Yes.
everyone.
So that would be just a typo. It's May 18th, and that is a presentation on the
Open to the public and would welcome anyone to attend. It looks like we may be having it at the high school, although we'll decide it at the building committee soon, and we'll get back to it then. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Any other additions, corrections?
So I had a chance to look through them. The only question I had was the ESSER money It says in the minutes that it needs to be expended by November of 2024. But I was under the understanding, and I think we clarified later, it's September of 2024. I'm not sure. It probably doesn't make a difference in the minutes, but I think it's September of 2024, not November.
Kathy, do you?
I'm looking at Greg, but I think September, yeah, my recollection might be.
I remember
September.
thinking it's the beginning of the school year.
Right,
I can verify with Pam and get back to you on it. But, yeah.
So, with these two, and we will wait for verification, could I have a motion to accept the minutes with pending the changes?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I abstain.
Um,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, we are done and the motion passes, and Jim, if you can get that done, send to me, and then we'll send it on, that would be great.
We got it.
Okay, now, we are moving on to, first up for our departmental review is the DPW budget. And we've allocated half an hour. And Kathy, did you say you were keeping
I'll
an eye?
be the timekeeper.
Yeah, please, I'm trying to keep meetings on time and, not repetitious, so. Bruce, I know you handed out, this is, basically what we have in our packets, only in long form and might be easier to follow.
Yes.
So I will turn it over to you, and, any one of us has questions, are you open to us asking during?
Absolutely, and I guess just a little clarification, do you want me to just go through each division and if there's a change in that specific line item, just to mention that line item? And then at the end of the division total, whatever those changes are, then we can go back and review that division with any questions?
I like that approach.
Want to do that?
That'll work. Most expedient.
Yeah, I'll
Anything that has
I'll do my best.
Big changes are what we look at, either to the plus or the minuses. Anything that's unchanged, unless someone has questions, usually doesn't raise.
Right, exactly, so that's what I'll do, okay? All right, we're gonna start off with the Building Facilities Division, Department 422. Under 5110, we have a 3% increase for full-time salaries. These increases for step raises and a 2% COLA for employees. Under 5113, appointed salaries, there's a 7.5% increase for salary employees plus step increases. Under 5140, longevity, that's a 32.5% increase for union employees. That equates to, it seems like a lot, but it's only $385. And under, moving down the line, under 5240, school maintenance, a 25.91% increase cost, and this is for construction materials and items like that. As we all know, inflation is impacting this department considerably this year. Under 5307, professional technical under others, it's a 10.72% increase for inflation and outside contractors. So anything we do, to give an example, for AC repairs, for a compressor, say for a 1.5 ton unit, typically in the past it was about $3,000, $3,500. We're seeing the repairs that we're seeing now, they're costing about $6,000 to $8,000 depending on the size of the unit. So we're seeing that everywhere. So that's the justification for that increase. Under 5430, building repair supplies, that's a 6.56% increase for construction materials and supplies as well. So like you said, on 5240, that's for school supplies, for their buildings, and then obviously the 5430 is for the DPW building, town-owned buildings. So that's a 6.5% increase for construction materials and supplies. Under 5450, cleaning supplies, it's a 10% increase due to inflation costs as well. To wrap up that division, 5584 for uniforms, it's a 34.62% increase. This has to do with our uniform contract with Unifor, so therefore that increase. So that total division increase is a 7.74% increase over last year. And I will take any questions.
So actually, Bruce, I just have one quick one.
Sure.
Under, up in the top section,
Yep.
5584, there's uniform clothing, and then down below, under the base, there's clothing. So
Yep.
is one for the purchase of clothing, and then one is for the service to clean it and stuff?
Clothing allowance, no, so the,
Okay,
uniforms, 5584 is for our uniform contract. And then what was the other line item, Ralph? Yeah, I know. Oh, clothing on the
Yes.
upper portion.
right,
That is for, that's actually the,
an allowance to purchase the clothing.
yeah, so that's their boot allowance, their cell phone
That's what I
allowance,
thought.
and other items that are in the union contract.
I think it's just when you see little,
It's,
without the explanation, it's
Sure.
like clothing,
right,
clothing.
yes, right.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on to the highway division. 421, under 5110, full-time salaries, it's a 1.63% decrease. We lowered these salaries. As you all know, as of last year, we had 11 positions open, so we're having trouble hiring employees within that CDL requirement. So in order to fill these positions, we met with the union, decreased our 13 skilled labor pool down to 4. Took 4 of those positions out and just made those labor positions. And obviously decreased those salaries in order to get bodies in the door and allow those individuals that are employed with the town have a little room for advancement within the department. So we've actually filled up the department. There's only, I believe, 3 positions open to date right now. So it's actually,
So it
it's
was
been,
helpful.
excuse me?
It was a good strategy
Yes,
for hiring.
yes, absolutely. It worked out well. Under 5113, appointed salaries, that's an 8.65% increase for salary employees. Under 5140, longevity, that was a 15.64% decrease for new employees. Obviously, that correlates with the years of service, so we've had a lot of new employees, so therefore they don't qualify for that longevity stipend. Under 5144, standby, that's a 2.78% increase for salary adjustment for union employees for their standby operations. Under 5294, police details, that's a 23.53% increase for road details and traffic control. We have 5307, professional technical others, and that's a 137.9% increase. And that's for track line painting, outside contractors. Also keep in mind, $69,000 of those funds were transferred from the Board of Health for us to start paying for the landfill water quality monitoring, gas monitoring, things like that. So that's mostly due to the transfer from the Board of Health. Also under 5310, professional technical software support, it's a 50.72% increase. This is our increase for our Dude Solutions, our work order system. It's obviously software that we use for our work order system. Under 5382, other purchase services, that's an 8.47% increase for tree removal services. We have 5460, groundskeeping supplies, that's a 24.39% increase. This is for the planters town-wide, tree plantings that we purchase and plant obviously as we take down trees, field maintenance, and fertilizer. Under 5530, DPW supplies, it's a 5.1% increase cost for construction materials, and also this is where we purchase those RFBs, those rapid flashing beacon units for crosswalks and things like that. Under 5584, other supplies, uniforms, that's a 15.38% increase for our uniform contract, with a total division increase of 5.74%.
Road detail.
Yes,
You see, that's quite a bit, and I know it's probably due to more projects.
yes.
How does that work in terms, so we pay all of the overtime?
For the police
For them.
department, this is for, yes, the
Yeah.
police department details.
it's also guided by Mass State law, right?
Yes.
That you're managing this.
Bruce, on the uniforms, which might go through all of these,
Yes.
just curious, is that contractual or is it a new contract?
No, this is, I think we're in year 2 of our contract. Hopefully I have it, but that's just uniform increases. So that's just the increase from last year.
And you've added uniforms because you've added employees.
Yes, exactly. So that's just a contractual increase from last year. This was communicated through UniFirst, and this is just the cost of doing business with them. Okay?
Thanks.
So Bruce, on the category 5460, the ground supplies,
Yes.
is it because the price of everything has gone up, or is it that you're fertilizing more fields and stuff, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. The fertilizer plan hasn't changed, but the cost has gone up. It's just like anything else, we have Graziano's helps us with the planters. His price, just everything's just, the supplies are going up. Just, it's a combination of a little bit of everything.
So do you go to your normal suppliers and, because I imagine it would take a lot of time to have to do a lot of research to save.
Right.
So it's pretty much you go to your tried and true and you say, give me your best.
Typically, yes. So like you said, for the planters, in first and foremost, I try to use East Longmeadow vendors, obviously, to keep them involved with the community. So Graziano Gardens typically does our planters, typically 3 times a year. I like them to do them 4 times a year, but obviously the budget won't support that. We purchase our trees through Graziano Gardens as well. So like you said, just the cost of doing business continues just to go up.
Those planters are all self-watering too, isn't it?
Yes, so and that's exactly why we bought those
I
too.
couldn't
'Cause
understand how the flowers stayed so beautiful, and
Right.
I don't see the guys watering every morning.
that was it was a hard thing to try to plan out. It adds a lot to the community, but also it's a staffing issue because there's somebody in every 2 weeks.
52 of them?
Right, and never mind that, how long does it take to water all those plants? At least a day to go around and fill those tanks up, so it's a considerable amount, but like you said, the water lasts 2 weeks in those containers.
But it makes a difference in
It
town.
does.
People notice them right away,
I
so.
think so as well. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we'll move on to sewer.
Okay, under the sewer division, under salaries, 5110, full-time salaries, that's an increase of 1.25% increase for step raises and a 2% COLA. Under 5113, appointed salaries, it's an 8.23% increase for salary employees. Under 5140, longevity, that's a 49.30% decrease for new employees that did not qualify, obviously, for that benefit. Under 5144, standby, that's a 50% increase for union wage increases. 5210, energy gas, that's a 75% increase from our utility providers. 5211, energy electricity, a 42.86% increase. Under 5212, energy oil, this is for our heating oil, it's a 66.67% increase for those inflated oil costs. Under 5213, solar credits, a 10% increase. That's for our solar utility usage. Under 5310, professional technical software support, it's a 133% increase. This is for our mobile 311 software, our Badger meter reading equipment, and balance for our water division. Under 5344, communication printing, it's a 20% increase for our sewer billing and printing and our Boston Globe. So those are postage and printing and things for our billing. Under 5382, other purchase services, this is for Springfield Water and Sewer. It's a 7.25% increase. And this is for our projections from our Springfield Water Sewer Commission and our true-up costs that are projected for next year. Under 5584, other supplies uniforms, that's an increase of 50%. And that's our contractual obligations to our uniform company. And that total division increase is a 6.73% increase.
So Bruce, I know last year we were talking about Springfield Water Sewer and they're making improvements. And I know you were trying to hold the line on cost increases to taxpayers. And I
Yes,
imagine at this point, we're gonna have to start with
yes, absolutely, yes. The rates are actually gonna go up this year. I believe on the sewer side, it's 35 cents on the sewer.
It is.
Yep, on the sewer side, 35 cents we're requesting on the sewer side.
other questions.
Yeah, Bruce, on the energy side of it,
Yes,
those are pretty substantial increases. Is that what we're all experiencing, or is that just? the
yes,
town
no,
itself?
that's the whole town itself, and I don't know if the finance oversight actually, any of the town council members talked to any of you guys about this. I had to come before the town council this past year for a $350,000 increase to our utility budget. This is due to an increase, we locked in a contract, we didn't have a contract for this upcoming year for 2023. We locked in at $2.10 in October of 2022 at $2.10. So this is what the main reason was for those increases, and obviously the utility provider increases as well. Some good news though for next year, so we only locked in for a 1-year contract, so October or November of, let me get the exact date, 23 will be at, for the gas, hold on. I got it. Utilities. So on the natural gas side, it went from $2.10 and we locked in at $1.28. So we saved some significant money. I actually budgeted back in January at $1.30, so we still have a little bit of wiggle room. And then on the electricity side, we were at 0.08795 cents, and now we're at 0.1239 cents per kilowatt hour. So we see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully, like you said, I don't have a crystal ball to obviously figure out where the utility companies are going, but we see those costs are going down, which is a good thing. Hopefully, it continues to hold true for the next fiscal year.
Have you heard anything about the state, and maybe, I forget, honestly, if there are programs overall to help retrofit some of our, we have some old buildings that,
Right.
you know, for energy efficiency and all of that.
Alright, so part of that Green Communities Act, I believe the
Right.
council just voted on, once that's approved in the state, it opens up the whole community to all sorts of grants in order to VFDs on our pumps, lighting retrofits, a combination of many different things.
Chair.
This budget for the sewer account is supported through the enterprise fund.
The whole sewer division is supported through the sewer enterprise, yes.
Okay, so it doesn't hit the.
No, so anything that's sewer related, repairs to the buildings, anything comes out of this fund. And the water fund and so on and so forth. Okay?
So through the chair.
Yes.
So Bruce, I just wanted to verify, like department head, that doesn't mean one person in the department. It's split up because a department head may work in 3 different locations, or like yourself, I'm sure a certain portion comes out of there.
Sure.
So just so that you realize, it's not one department head making that money, it's probably 25% for this person,
Yes.
25% for that.
That's exactly it. So I get 25% out of highway, building, sewer, water. Darryl Keys, highway, sewer, water. Mr. Tadia is highway, building, water, sewer. So
Yeah,
obviously, some of my staff worked in multiple divisions, so some portions of their salary do reflect in the budget.
Any other questions? Here we are, my favorite, snow and ice, which this year,
Yes. I've actually have no increases under the snow and ice.
and just so
Yeah.
new members here know, snow and ice is the only department or budget that basically you can run a deficit in because it is health and safety. If we get hit by a blizzard, you can't be hamstrung by cost.
Right.
And as we've had in the past, FEMA has a really good thumb on you if it
Sure.
gets to that level
Yep.
too. So it's good for us this year.
So, if I understand correctly from talking to other towns, you're better off keeping the budget as low as possible.
Yes.
One, it helps out the town, and then you're only paying for what you actually do.
Right.
But I think there's something, a regulation in there where if you,
Well, you
if you put too much money into it and you don't use it, then you're stuck the following year with only that amount.
Right, and I'm not sure if Ms. Collins knows, but I think it's the only, like you said, you can only deficit spend. You don't want to increase it, like you said, we've had a mild winter. We're actually a little bit over this year, but not considerably. And I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if you increase it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not sure about that portion of the regulations. So that's why we keep it low. So like you said, you're not tying up those funds in the general fund.
And so, at the end of the year, basically, we supplement out of free cash for whatever additional, correct?
Right.
Okay.
And or take it out of other divisions
Yeah.
depending on what's left over. Okay? Moving on to waste collection. Under 5211, part-time salaries, that's a 10% increase. This is for minimum wage increase. And this is also for eight 3-hour day additional openings for the transfer station. This is a request from residents during the fall season to open up another day for a 4-week period for 3 hours once a week. For people that can't get there on the weekend or on Wednesdays, just something we decided to do this year. Okay? Under 5210, this energy gas is a 25% increase. This is just for that propane tank that heats the little shed out at the transfer station. 5292, other services, garbage removal, that's a 25% increase. This is obviously based on a contract with McNamara. This is increased cost of tipping fees and disposal costs. So a total increase for the waste collection division is a 20.5% increase.
Bruce, couple
Yes.
of questions.
Yep.
Propane tank, does the town own it or are we renting it?
We rent it.
Okay, because I just know on the homeowner side, if you own it, the price of propane is a whole lot
Sure, yes.
So
Hold on, what, cheaper?
much cheaper, like jaw dropping,
Right.
cheaper. So that might be something
Okay.
in the future for strategists to take a look at.
Yep.
Also, as I recall, last year we were talking about, we had some, I don't think it's long, what do you produce there?
We have a brief, yes. So we produce wood chips, loam, compost. We did open it up last year, but we really haven't had great success. No one's really interested in purchasing a lot of the items. So I believe, and I don't have the figures in front of me, I should have, is the a load of loam is $20 to fill your truckload. But you gotta obviously put it on your truck by yourself with a shovel. $10, I believe, for all the wood chips. We have a pile of wood chips over there. But some people may not want to use those because it's multi-different kinds of woods and things like that. So we haven't had real good success in generating revenue with some of those items. So I'm not really sure where we're going to be going with that moving forward.
And without it moving, what does it do? Does it just sit there?
It sits and rots, and then we end up paying somebody to take it away, typically. So, yeah.
So the compost, the thought process is the Allen Street landfill, you're gonna be trying to use, and that's why you're storing as much of it.
So
To be
that's
kept.
actually for the street sweeping. So street sweepings and catch basin cleanings, things like that is considered hazardous materials. We have, and we started 2 years ago with 70,000 yards. There's got to be at least 150,000 yards up there of catch basin cleanings. So what we're going to do, and this was a suggestion through PVPC and our stormwater division, is filing a BUD, beneficial use determination with the DEP. And this was recommended by them as well. instead of paying for that disposal, and like he said, it's roughly $10 per yard, so a pile that's 70,000 yards is gonna be $70,000. So by doing this, we're gonna be able to use that material to cap the landfill at Allen Street, once we get going on it, so, that's our plan moving forward.
Yay.
Yes, pile's getting big though, so we're doing our best.
The disposal fee, you said there's a contract through McNamara.
Yes.
Is that a yearly contract?
It's a 3-year contract. Yep,
They just got bought out, didn't
yes, they did.
They did.
they? USA?
USA Waste.
Oh, they did?
Because they called me and I said, well, you said you're gonna be getting bills from USA Waste. I go, no, I'm not. My contract is with you, McNamara, so, I expressed my concerns and, the contract stays in play and I get my bills from McNamara. Okay, nice.
Any other questions? Water.
Okay, under the water division, under 5110, full-time salaries, it's a 1.4% increase for step raises and a 2% COLA for union employees. Under 5113, appointed salaries, it's a 7.1% increase for salary employees. Under 5140, longevity, it's a 15.6% decrease for years of service with union staff. So that decreased obviously because of all the new employees. Under the clothing, 5191, a 71.4% increase for food allowances, licenses, and cell phone stipends. So that's what that account is used for. Under 5210, energy gas, it's a 154% increase from our utility provider. 5211, energy electricity, a 29.2% increase. That's obviously passed on from our utility provider in our current rate. 5213, solar credits, it's an 18.2% increase for our solar utility usage. 5305, professional technical advertising, that's a 180% increase. This is for our public notifications, and as you all know, we're getting those notifications for the DBPs on a quarterly basis. Under 5310, professional technical software support, 27.3% increase. This goes along with obviously our water account. It's a mobile 311 system, our Badger meter reading software as well. Under 5342, postage, a 15.4% increase. This is for our mailing, our consumer confidence reports, our DBPs, notifications as well, and our billing statement mailings. 5344, communication printing, a 70% increase. This is printing our public notifications and water billing printing in our Boston Globe. 5382, for other purchase services, this is our Springfield Water and Sewer Commission account. 3.5% increase based on Springfield Water and Sewer's projections in our true-up costs for FY24. And 5584, other supplies uniform, a 25% increase from our UniFirst contract. So a total division increase for the water division is a 4.8%. That's it. 4 minutes left.
Okay.
Solar credits. We have a deal with the solar farm, which gives us a reduced rate for a certain percentage of our
Yes.
solar that we can use.
Yes,
I don't need to know how much or whatever, I just,
okay.
it just sounds like when you hear credit, it should be to the positive.
Yeah.
They should be
Yes.
giving us money.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated, it's 80 cents on the dollar, and yeah,
Yes.
it's based on our usage. We do save roughly over $100,000 a year, being part of that program, so it does help.
Okay. Utilities.
Yes,
Expensive.
Yes.
yes, what do you need to know? I kind of went over it briefly with the rates and things like
I
that.
know.
Like you said, we do have some good news coming halfway through the year. Those utility rates will be going down. It is a substantial increase, but I will go through the numbers real quick if you'd like on utilities. No need? Okay.
We'll get into the stormwater, yeah, we all know, we're all paying our.
And I did a a big analysis, and I've been keeping track of the utilities and everything else, so.
We did that last year too.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your thought on the utilities? Because we're gonna be under contract that we shouldn't have any jump at the end of the year.
There shouldn't be, but like,
You don't know, but
on the, like I said, we always have a third-party supplier, then you have the utility company. Being a municipality, you need to do both. So on our locked-in rates with our third party, we're all set. It's just the utility provider like Eversource or National Grid. Like I said, the prices are down. Who knows what's gonna happen? I see it staying low. That's what everybody's saying, but we keep our fingers crossed, definitely.
Okay, and last but not least,
Yes, Stormwater Division. Under 490, Stormwater Division. Line item 5110, full-time salaries, that's a 1.2% decrease for new employees, and two-step raises for FY '24. So we have new employees in that division, so therefore the decrease. 5113, appointed salaries, it's a 7.3% increase for salary employees. 5140, longevity, that's an 84.9% decrease, obviously based on the years of service of those employees. Under 5241, a 16.7% increase for maintenance costs of vehicles. Under 5342, postage, that's a 32.4% increase for the billing statements that goes out with our water and sewer bills. Under 5344, communication printing, there's a 40% increase for printing our public educational materials and our Boston Globe in our billings. Under 5584, other supplies uniforms, that's a 116.7% increase for our UniFirst contract. So that's a 4.3% increase for that division in its entirety. And then to give you kind of a budget overview, this is why I kind of provided you the sheet at the bottom. So the general fund liabilities for the Department of Public Works in total is a 14.9% increase. But if you minus the utilities increases, it's actually only a 4.6% increase. Okay?
and those are uncontrollable.
Yes, exactly.
stormwater revenues,
Yes.
looks like they increased, which means the cost of stormwater is being increased.
Yes.
What's the general for a residential household that we're looking for needs?
I'm looking for $7 a year, so that's less than $2 a quarter. So $7 a year,
So
less
from
than
$25 to $32.
Yes, exactly. And this is obviously due to the MS4 permit. We have to start doing projects in-house, retrofit, drainage retrofits and things like that. And obviously they cost money, so we need to build up our retained earnings in order to pay for some of these things. We have our jet truck that's gonna come on the books this year, so we need to build up some of our reserve in order to pay for some of these things.
And businesses,
Yes.
is there also an increase for?
Yes, and that's, yes, for the industrial commercial side of things, it's a $50 increase over the year.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just a comment that a remark you made last year during this committee, not hearing, but meeting.
Yep.
I was struck by this statement you made about how the size of your budget and how very, very little you have control over.
Yes, yes.
And it's very evident again this year.
So I can kind of give you kind of an overview. I kind of put this little cheat sheet together. So budget overview, our budget overview is $9.97 million in total. Okay, salaries out of that 9.97 million is $3.34 million for all divisions. $2.78 million, it goes to Springfield Water and Sewer. Utilities is $1.77 million per year, for a total of $7.89 million a year. Okay, so out of that, our operational expenses to run this entire town and everything that goes along with it is only $2.8 million. 2.08. everything else is spoken for and we have no choice.
So that's how much we can cut.
Thank you. That was
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
And thanks for sticking pretty much to the time.
Awesome.
Good job.
Thank you, thank you. As well to all of your department heads for their time and expertise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So next up will be Ryan, and we'll let everyone leave. Thank you. Yeah, that's true. We can find
I'm like, it's 52 here. But I kept my mouth shut.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, let Jim know it is September 30th. We got your verified.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah. Okay, let's now fires. We'll get back to your session. Welcome, Ryan.
Sorry to bring up people.
Introduce yourself, please.
Ryan Quigley, IT Director. Tell me something.
Thank you.
Otherwise it'd be weird to be here.
So Ryan, pretty much what we've been doing is letting you tell us about your budget, your future, however you want to tell us, and we, if we've got questions, we'll ask you.
Sure. So the IT department for the town is consolidated with the town and school department. It's been that way since about 2007 when we merged. We primarily work out of the school, in the school buildings, with them being our largest service area. But we do everything from fixing Chromebooks to putting modems in police cars and ambulances. I've been with the department for going on 24 years. So I started when technology was more of a luxury than a necessity as it is now. If you want to go line item to line item for the budget, answer questions.
Why don't, that seems to work pretty well.
Okay. Alright, so the IT department, we're responsible for pretty much anything you can think of technology-wise. One of those being communications for telephones, desk phones. Our phone system is probably about 400 handsets across 14 buildings, 15 buildings now. And we have a $5,000 line item for the repair cell phone for all those devices. An individual handset is about $300, so it doesn't go very far. Next up is our computer equipment repairs. That's our general unscheduled repairs. That's the account we use when there's unanticipated expenses, things that don't fall under capital. That is that line item. That's one of the line items that has an increase, and that's due to technology getting older and brought that up to $70,000. Where my first budget I did in FY08, that was $130, and that was just for the town side. So it's a pretty significant difference.
Is that 5248?
That is 5248. Next up is 5250. That's a repairs radio. So the IT department is also responsible for all of our LMR land-based radio systems. That no longer includes police and fire. They fall under the Westcom umbrella, and Westcom covers the maintenance of those. This is to cover public works and the school department. So that was a $1.3 million system, and we have $5,000 to maintain it. Next up is 5302. Sorry if you guys have a different order than I have. I'm looking at my budget cheat sheet. Okay, so far. Training seminars, $6,000. That's to cover annual seminars. Typically, we'll try and send an employee or two to the Tyler Community Conference, which is for Munis, which is our #1 ERP software. That is level funded. Next up is consultants. We try to do everything we can in-house. Sometimes we either don't have the expertise or we don't have the time to get to it. And that's where that 5308 comes from, the $10,000. Next up is 5310. This is the big one. This is all of the subscriptions and maintenance contracts we have across the town. From Munis to maintaining the licensing on our phone systems to our antivirus, everything is in that. I'm not sure if you guys got the detailed sheet on that. It's broken out. I can kind of go through and just give you the highlights from that's broken out. So Munis is $97,000 a year. That is a 5% increase. It's 5% every year. They send us a quote. They're one of the few that does, and that's what that gets up to it.
Ryan, if I can interrupt a minute. Last week, when the school department was here, we were speaking about Munis, and no one could recall what the acronym stood for, so Jeopardy question.
It's like Municipal Information System, MUNIS. It's actually no longer even called Munis, it's called Tyler ERP, but everybody still knows that's Munis.
It still comes out that way, oh yeah, Tyler ERP.
Let's see, so next is Cisco. That covers our network infrastructure. Our phone system is all Cisco branded equipment, and we have to pay them for the licensing and the upkeep of that. Antivirus, we use Sophos Next Gen Antivirus with EDP. It's, as you can imagine, technology security is very important, and we kind of need to maintain that one. That's $17,000. That was, again, a 5% increase. Single Wire is a subscription we use for paging systems in 2 of our elementary schools in our fire department. That's $2,100. We have a subscription for our battery backup system in the server room. So the server room is run obviously by street power, but it also has a giant battery that runs the server side, and then 2 generators, one that runs the servers and one that runs the air conditioning. The SolarWinds that's $4,300. That is our help desk ticketing system. So of the 2,900 users that we have, that's everything we do is based off of tickets. You have an issue, email the system, and then my staff will take care of it on a first come, first served basis. Next line down is GIS. That's $13,000. That is our asset tracking system for the mapping, all the DPW infrastructure, the town infrastructure. Our GIS analyst is fantastic. So any type of thing that has a geotag to it, I tell him, let's get it into the system so that we can help overlay it and see it visually. That was actually a decrease of $4,600 from last year when we upgraded some of our licensing. Let's see, next up was our community alert system. That's the phone calls everybody gets and doesn't like. We're in year two of 3 of that, and that's $5,500 a year. Let's see, next up. Amplified IT is a Chromebook management system that we use. That's $1,700. Veeam is, computer's doing an update. Veeam is a software we use for backups. So to back up our virtual infrastructure, we have 2 tiers of backups we do. For any of our critical servers, we do hourlies, and then for our non-criticals, we just do nightlies. This way, our worst case restored to operation is an hour for the critical stuff, like Munis. It's our website that actually went up 19%. It's actually not reflected in this budget because I got the quote like a week and a half ago. We should be able to take care of the difference, but that is, I think it's just over 10,000 now. That covers Civic Plus, their town website, and probably half the school website. Next up is, so I'm on 15 of 43 of our maintenance contracts, just to keep you in the loop. JAMF, that is our mobile device management system, so we use that to push out apps or tracking of the teacher devices or any Apple devices. Laserfiche is a document management system where we can upload scanned documents to. That is $1,500. Know Before, so part of
My favorite.
Know Before does our training and testing for phishing. So one other security related thing. It sends every month, randomly sends emails to every one of our users, and if they click on a thing, they get entered into a training.
And hopefully they're not failing miserably. It can be tricky.
It can be very tricky.
Yeah.
We've seen a pretty decent increase of a better performance, so we're at like about a little under 2% click rate, which is industry average for government's like 5%. Let's see, next up is Exact Vision for $9,500. That is our software licensing for our camera systems. So we have 260 security cameras across all of our buildings, and then 3 physical servers, and then we have to license each camera for those servers, and that's $9,500. Open Checkbook, we have a third-party vendor that pulls data from Munis and puts it into a visual format, and that's on our website for transparency. That is a flat, no increase. Stayed at $2,000. ID card printer, so we print all the ID cards for all the town employees and school employees. That device, the maintenance contract on that printer costs us $1,000 a year. That gets us, they come out twice a year and clean it and keep it up and running. Because we try to tie everything we can into the IDs. This way, it's a lot easier for everybody. So that does your fueling, it does all your copier access now, and obviously door access. Let's see, we'll go down to next one, number 24, Cradle Point. So Cradle Points are modems, cellular modems in all of our police cars and our fire trucks and our ambulances. We pay a annual subscription for those in order to be able to remotely manage them. So you don't have to climb into the back of a police car to update them. You can do it all through the cloud, and it pushes the information out to the devices. That's $22.84 a year. That was a little bit bigger of an increase just because hopefully we'll get our 3rd ambulance, and we already have the modem for that. Next up, number 25 is Zoom. I can imagine you guys know why we have Zoom. That is $3,300 a year. Next is Securely. So I have a 1-to-1 device program for all of our students. Grades 2 and above all have Chromebook assigned to them. Grades kindergarten to 1st grade have devices available in the classrooms. For all those devices, we have a secured content filtering subscription that goes on the device itself. That helps, not just keeping them off of websites we deem inappropriate, but also for self-harm. So if a kid searches how to tie a noose, it will alert the principals, the guidance counselors, myself, the superintendent, and there's actually one of the staff members in the company gets assigned to it, and it's their job to touch base with one of us to make sure that we interact with it. And when we first demoed it, I thought it was like a nice to have, but probably have at least one intervention a month just from that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like to the point where kids are aware of it and they'll just search something just to trigger a response.
Testing.
Well, he's like, I don't know how to reach out, so I searched something just because I know somebody would reach out to me. So that is $14,190. Next up is SSL certificates that keeps, so for websites, you have to have an SSL certificate to encrypt them. You can do self-signed certificates, but it gets that big red arrow that says this is not a trusted site. So you have to pay for a certificate that takes that error away, basically. Next up is Beyond Trust. What is Beyond Trust?
Beyonce's sister.
Beyond Trust is, that's our remote management software. So you open up a ticket, instead of us having to drive to your building, we take over your computer and the mouse moves around and fix it. That is $6,100 a year. Number 29 is Gmail. The school side is fortunate enough to have Gmail for free. The town side is not. That costs us $36,960 a year. Since we had originally subscribed to it, they had not increased prices, but they had increased prices for this current fiscal year. And I added a little bit more, so I added about 10% on top of this increase that we had just for additional employees.
Is the free part for schools part of a DESI initiative or some other federal?
No, Gmail just, they've always given it, so they've given it for free to schools pretty much since they had started. As of the last 3 years, they now have the free tier and then paid tiers now. We were on the paid tier for the schools for the remote learning. There was a lot of features that really impacted that. But this current fiscal year, the school has dropped that extra license. It's not really needed anymore. Let's see, next up is Petrovend. One of the other services that IT is responsible for is the management of the fuel systems, like gas pumps. We handle the control side of it. Public Works handles like the pumps and everything else. We handle the payment pedestal. That is $2,500 a year for the maintenance of that. Lucidchart is a cloud-based software for diagramming. So if you know what Visio is, this is the cloud cheaper version of that. So that gets, it's $1,575 a year, and I think that's 20 licenses. Used for org charts, stuff like that. Next up, number 32 is Palo Alto. That is our firewalls. So we have 2 firewalls that work in active standby mode. If one of them goes down, the other one takes over transparently. These licenses cover URL filtering, security filtering. It has like a cloud-based sandbox technology. So if somebody emails you a file that wouldn't get flagged by antivirus, the firewalls will take that file, upload it to the cloud. It'll open it in a virtual machine, analyze what it does, and if it turns out it's malicious, it then sends us alerts. That costs us $25,000 a year for those 2 firewalls. You too. Next up, Adobe. That is, PDFs, Photoshop, all of our licenses for that. Number 34, Vision. Vision is our assessing software that helps controls all our camera data that our assessors use and put on. They run the bills from that. They run the bills from Munis, but they run all the calculations and everything inside of Vision. That also, we pull the data from there, push into GIS, and push into Munis, or push into all of our other applications. That is $18,092. Next up, number 35 is OpenGov. OpenGov is a new service this year that we had acquired with a grant for the initial install and purchase. That covers our building department, health department, and clerk for dog licenses and the licenses they do. That is $36,100 a year. Next up is $800 for CGIS. That is our license fee to access the criminal network for the police department. We gotta pay that, or the state gets mad. Next up is $2,000 for the police department policy software. That is a level funded from the previous year. Next up is the scheduling software that police and fire use. That is $5,300 a year. That was an increase from the previous fiscal year because the fire department wasn't using one. The police department had like a lower cost one. And I think our police chief wants to change it again, but that is $5,300, cover those two departments. Next up is Rise Vision for $1,500. Rise Vision controls all of our digital signage. So the schools, the senior center, all have digital signs. It's a cloud-based system where the users can just log into a web page, design it, and it pushes it out to the signs that we designate in their groups. Next up is Nutanix for $26,523. That was a pretty big increase over the previous fiscal year because we had received a grant to purchase a second Nutanix. So Nutanix is a hyper-converged server infrastructure system. Basically, all of our servers that we have run inside, a computer. The grant we got was to have a second one. So we have one in town hall that runs as our primary, and then we have one at an offsite location, and they mirror each other. So town hall gets hit by a car, the server room catches on fire. We have a second system that's running. Number 40, we're almost there for this line item. Number 41 is Recor, our ALPR system for $3,500, $3,570. Recor is our license plate recognition system. So we have 3 cameras in town that are licensed for this that will basically take pictures of cars as they pass, and the police can then set alerts and say, if Ryan's license plate comes by, it'll email and text wherever we tell it to. Next up is All Traffic Solutions. That is a cloud subscription for the police department sign, the trailer sign. That is all cloud-based, so once they have it set up somewhere, they can access it remotely, and we have to pay for that luxury. The final one is Parallels. It is a software that we use on our IT laptops to run Windows on a Mac. Questions on subscriptions?
I'm curious, why does the IT department have to bear the burden of very specific software to another department?
That was a philosophy a couple of years ago with a previous town manager, previous finance director, where they wanted to consolidate any technology expenses into the IT department. Prior to that, the IT department would be responsible for any software that spanned departments. So like the license plate, we wouldn't cover that because it's just for police. But since then, it's been the philosophy to pull it all under IT. Unless it can be charged to like a different enterprise fund.
And Ryan, it's all IT department that runs all of this. Police department does not have IT specialists.
Right. Yep. Yeah, there's no IT staff in any other town department.
And how many are in your department?
Was it 9 or something? The most recent addition, so most of the IT staff that we have were absorbed from other departments. When I started, there was 2 IT staff on the town side and 2 on the school side. Since then, we merged and absorbed those 2 technicians from the school side into the town IT department. We absorbed the GIS analyst, which was in Public Works, is now in IT. We absorbed the student information system manager that was in the school department, is now in IT, to kind of help have more of a cohesive team where we can assist each other a lot better. So what was that? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Doc's a,
Doc's a full human being.
0.3 bookkeeper, 0.3 FTE. He's a full person, just.
So through the chair, just a quick question as far as on the fuel software.
Yeah.
I know the fuel is not only used on the town side, but we also have the lower Pioneer Valley Transit or whatever the bus is. So are they responsible for basically half the costs of the software, the maintenance of the pump and stuff, or?
It's currently in discussions.
Very, like I said, it's just one of those where you think about it and
Yeah, so
I mean,
they
there's a lot of cost other than just the fuel.
And so there is a trade-off, so they do all of the fuel bidding and everything, they do all the fuel reconciliation to make sure we're billing out the amount that we're actually pumping out. They handle all that on their side, but there are definitely more discussions that kick up to merit.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you anticipate having interns again in the summer to help with all the hardware for the
Oh, yeah.
school department?
Yeah, definitely. It's, so in, now we kind of only cover one line item and of the entire rest of the budget. But there is a line item for temporary positions, which is our summer help, but that's 5120 under salaries.
And how many do you use? 2?
We typically try to do two employees full-time for 8 weeks.
How many devices townwide?
Oh, goodness.
A lot.
I mean, there's
You're gonna lose
2,600.
at Jeopardy.
There's 2,600 Chromebooks. I mean, all together, we're probably responsible for about 4,000 devices. Between, cameras and regular computers, Chromebooks, door access, telephones, cell phones, police cars.
So this isn't a software per se question, but I notice that a lot of the accounts look to no longer be funded. I mean, you've got 5307 professional other, that it's been a couple of years since it was funded. I'm assuming that's all because it's being consolidated down.
Yeah, and 5308.
Okay.
Anyone? Hearing none? Thank you.
Yeah. That was easy.
We could be an auctioneer now. We take so much for granted. Okay, so next up, I wanted to open up the school budget discussion. I'm looking, because I tend to be a stickler about getting people in and out on time because we all have lives. Let's see how it runs. We are a little behind the 8 ball, I will tell you that. Last week, we had some technological glitches, so we got behind, and also I felt it was in our best interest to listen to everything for the school department in detail and get all of our questions while they were there vetted out. So it ran a little bit long, which meant some of our smaller departments, which I wanted to get through, discuss, and start voting because we need to start moving on it. So bear this in mind. So we've got next week, we have police department,
Police and fire.
Fire will be the following week. Schedules didn't work. So next week, we'll have half an hour and then the rest, we're going to put our shoulders into it and get through, and then we'll see where we sit. Because timelines are ticking, not just for us, but for town council, and the charter sits there and says, we need this budget done. And, we're not like some of the state and federal governments and just keep pushing it out. Just kind of saying. So with that, let's get through what we can on school budget. I'm gonna open it up to any here at the table who has any comments, directions, wants to be first up.
So I've got a question, but it looks like it's to the two people that are talking. I guess my main question was, we've got a projection level 2 budget, and then we've got a current year revenue budget. And there's changes in the numbers. And I'm just curious, the changes, and I talked to Mary before we came, and she had said that for the school committee budget, she made the change. But now I'm wondering if my numbers are accurate on the way I printed it out. I mean, I'm looking at 511030, it says it's a salary budget. The current year revenue budget says 0, but the level 2 projection is 61,944.
No, so the current year, that's current year revised budget. So that's
So-
showing you current year actuals, current year revised budget, and then the projection level 2. So there was no budget in there currently, but they're requesting a budget of 61,944 for fiscal '24.
So the projection level 2 is actually the school budget that they're requesting.
Yes.
Okay. I thought the projection level 2 was our town manager.
Well, it hasn't changed. So, yeah, so level 1 is the same as level 2. Because they put their request in level 1, and then we just rolled the budget. Mary didn't change anything.
Because I don't have any, she doesn't have any authority to that.
Yeah, no, I understand you didn't have any authority, I was just trying to compare it to the other, and that's why I couldn't understand.
They're two, Ralph, aren't they
Because
different?
I don't see level 1 on this, I just see
One and two
current year
On
budget.
his, yes. One is level services, 2 is a different number, or level funding. Correct, Ralph?
So on my printout, I don't have a level 1. I have a current year revenue budget, projection level 2.
Right, so there shouldn't be any change between level 1
There is a
and level
change,
2.
though.
But that's what I'm saying, I don't have level 1. There's no category.
Level
for
2 is not our number.
Because level 1, the manager's not involved in.
Right, level 1 was our number.
So all we did was roll in the system, you just hit a button and you say roll level 1 to level 2 and it stays the same, it doesn't change.
But 2 is different.
Okay,
So do you have a report that shows level 1
I don't
to
have it,
level
do you have it in
2?
front of you? From last week when we had, that's what you're referring to?
well, I mean, like I said, my report, because what you're saying is it just automatically rolled it, so we don't have a level 1 listed.
Right, so you don't have a level 1 because it
And so
was
that the only change that we know that happened was
with the,
the school committee. Okay,
But level 2 is not our number, is what I'm saying.
it is.
It's not. Level 2 is not the same as last year, is it? We requested level
2
funding.
is what you're,
Right, level
requesting
2
for
was a
budget this
different
year.
number than level funding,
You're
correct?
saying level 2 is level services and level 1 is level funding?
No, I'm saying level 1 is level funding.
Right.
It's only the school committee line, you're asking about our line of the budget, correct? Not the school
I'm
department.
asking what was submitted to
School committee or school
No,
department?
right.
School department.
Transfer, yeah.
I'm sorry, I was on school committee.
Oh, okay.
Yep, scratch.
Correct all.
So it's
Sorry.
all good.
I thought we were on the other one.
Okay.
School department budget, okay,
Okay, so it is, that is what happens, it's push the button and yours
Yes.
rolls in.
okay.
And,
I'm sorry.
okay, very
That's
good.
why there's no.
Well, no, this is good.
I was talking.
That explains it.
No.
yes, that has changed.
Yes, okay. She agrees that the other one changed.
All right, so we're all
Sorry.
good with that. Yes,
Yeah, so the projection level 2 is what they're actually requesting.
yes.
And it changed to level 2, this is just.
Don, I have a question for Greg, if I can.
Sure.
In the presentation.
Do you wanna bring them up so that he's at the mic?
Sure.
Wait a minute, I'm not on the agenda.
Yeah,
Well, we appreciate you being here, thank you, sir.
But this is easy.
Okay. Okay. Let's do that. I'm gonna give you Ryan's pen if it's not.
No, it's mine.
Oh.
I was watching to see if you were doing that. That's a nice pen, because I tried to grab it.
The 3 paraprofessionals at Meadowbrook who are presently being paid under the ESSER grant. The intention is for this July 1st, to migrate their salaries into the operational budget.
Correct.
I'm just asking a hypothetical. Were those three positions not to be approved, what's your plan B? It wouldn't be to lay them off because they appear to be extremely critical given
Right.
where they're placed.
There's a potential opportunity to use ESSER, it's not something we've discussed. But
But you
we will
could.
need those, and as we mentioned, that it expires September, and we have plans for ESSER as we made plans for those funds. So yes, if worst case, if they're not funded, we won't cut them.
You'll
We
use
would need to look to
for your future plans
roll
for
them
the
in
remainder of
the
that.
future, and there's 6 of them total, so that would be, so it's kind of a step into
I
it, use the rest of ESSER, but,
Okay.
and I can't commit to that, Kathy,
No,
because it's
but
a committee
that
decision,
seems
it's a board and a
logical,
PAM decision collectively,
Right.
but, that would be the thought.
Thank you. That was
So, don't go anywhere.
You're gonna get me in trouble, because I don't have my team with me here.
I know you don't.
And
you may not be able to
Listen,
They're watching, holding their breath.
yeah, they are, Kathy, you know that.
You may not be able to even answer this. Do you know what the salaries are for those 3 individuals, or is that a question you should send an email
Collectively,
to?
approximately 75,000 collectively, total.
For the three, about 75, give or take.
So there was 3 paraprofessionals, and then there was a teacher request,
The SEL, yeah,
the SEL, and the SEL.
social emotional.
Yeah, no, I got that, but that's a new position, the teacher, that wasn't previously paid for out of the ESSER grant.
Correct, that position doesn't exist now, we had it prior, remember we cut that from a prior budget, but
Okay,
currently that person is not in the building, correct? It's not a funded position anymore, that would be a new FTE. That would be the only new FTE.
and is that something that could be paid for again, possibly out of ESSER?
Listen, we came in at 3.9.
No, I'm just
If you're
asking.
gonna hold us to all this, then we can hold other departments to less than 3.9, and that's fine. So
Yeah.
we're open to any discussion. I would love to see a tax cut to the whole, or lowering the taxes to the whole department, if we're gonna do that. But just, yeah, I mean, we can discuss anything. There's options for anything. This is where I'm getting myself in trouble.
So my
You know
question is
that.
based on the fact that I understand what you had said, and if we can hold everything down so that the residents don't see anything.
If there's a concerted effort across all town departments, yeah, we're in this together, for sure. And, as we discussed, with Chapter 70 money, we're in a really good position to do that. We're requesting $700,000 less from the taxpayers each Long Meadow to fund the budget next year. So, I mean, if collectively we get there, I'm all for it. I'm all for it if we can get there collectively. But it will be kind of what, understand that we have plans for those ESSER funds that will improve education in East Long Meadow. Curriculum, we discussed it last week, and some other things. So, one town, yeah.
And Chris,
I would just point out to the committee that 3.9% increase on a $33 million budget has a far greater impact than a 4.6 budget, for instance, like the DPW on a $9 million budget. So I think that has to be taken into consideration, especially with the supply chain issues, the cost of gasoline, the cost of utilities. So I don't think you can turn around and just apply a 3.9% or less, if that was the case, to all the other budgets in town. It's not a feasible way to come to a fiscally responsible budget. That's my comment.
But I understand what you're saying as
Yeah.
far as if we're gonna be fiscally
But
responsible.
the energy costs aren't included in that 4.6 either. Just as a rebuttal, the energy costs aren't included in the 4.6. That would bring it to a 14.6, right?
No, he's
That's
got all
correct.
the utilities in his budget,
And
including
that makes it a
for the schools.
14.6 increase though, not a 4.6. Am I correct in that statement?
Yeah, yeah.
Which I know, energy as it is, and I saw the gas is up 100%, that's significant. So I know that we have to keep the buildings and run electricity, but we all have fixed costs and funds, things that we have to pay for too. And I'm not picking one department over another, I'm just saying if we're making a collective effort town-wide, we're in, for sure. Because we're trying to build a high school and we want to get the yes vote, and so whatever relief we can get to the taxpayer, let's do it collectively. But I think everybody's responsible, I'm not picking on anybody, and if we fund it the way it all is funded, I think we'll shake out pretty good. We said for potentially 13% increase, or 13 cent per thousand increase, potentially, I know that's up. for some changes depending on certain things, but I think that's pretty reasonable across the board, but, whatever we can do, we're in it together, so appreciate it. Did I do it right, Kathy?
I think you did.
Yeah, it's in my corner. Thank you.
I just, if you're asking for an opinion now of the presentation and the requests, I'll go out on the limb and say that, as it relates to the 3 paras that are funded now, that by ESSER coming into the operational, regardless of what revenue stream is used, those positions are critical. You just heard the IT director talk about a special kind of software that follows the students' use of the computer to flag any potentially unsafe researching, and how it then alerts various people, including the software company itself, to follow through. That's the kind of child that comes to the schoolhouse in America today. We can point the finger at hundreds of things, but it is what it is. And the pandemic is effects on children ages birth to 5 now is giving us 4 and 5-year-olds who in September come into the classroom having not had the benefit of preschool in many cases, and present with a multitude of issues that no one in the expertise umbrella that is analyzing the effects of the pandemic. It's not as simple as, and it's a horrible thing for me to simplify, but X amount of lives lost. I mean, that in itself is tragic. No one predicted, and we're still seeing it roll out, the incredible emotional toll it's having on the human body, let alone school kids. So I think keeping those 3 paras right where they are, migrated to the operational budget, is essential. Saying no to them and having the leadership look at pushing them back into ESSER just adds a problem for us next year, because then you have 6 of them to deal with and the grant will run out. As far as the grade level person who fell by the wayside 2 years ago, being brought back as an SEL teacher for the public who might be listening, that is an individual skilled in social, emotional, and licensed to deal with all of these problems and hit them head on, to make the referrals to outside agencies, to work with the teacher to help cope with the child and keep the child in the classroom so they don't have to be attended to by outside mental health agencies. It's an issue that every education department in America, I'll go so far as to say in other countries as well, is dealing with. And to suggest that not having a teacher is going to make the problem go away, it's going to fall to other teachers that aren't licensed and as skilled to deal with it. And I don't, and again, I'm talking as a career educator, I can't fathom how we can walk away from that. We talk about, the needs of the community in general, as it relates to life safety, health and wellness, good roads, a public library, all the essential things for the elder population, the senior center, and all the outreach we do. Our little people in the schools are as much of the population that we have to be responsible for. And I'll argue that, yes, Chris, I absolutely agree. black and white math, 3.9 on 39, whatever the number was, is a larger number, but this to me is an essential obligation, because to not do it is gonna create other pieces for us down the road. My 2 cents. It's probably more than 2 cents, but I will call it 2 cents. How do you agree?
If you don't mind. So Kathy, sorry, I just want to jump in ahead of time. So Kathy, I agree with the paraprofessionals as far as their needed position. My thought with looking at this is, when I talked to Pam, she said that they're looking to do a $1.6 million rollover in ESSER. Last year was last year was $222,000, which $70,000 for the paraprofessionals is a very small amount of 1.6 million. And if you do that, we can knock it down to a 3.6% increase instead of the 3.9. It's not a lot, but again, they still have the ESSER there to use those paraprofessionals, and I think that would be, in my opinion, a better way to go, looking at it. I'm not in any way suggesting that they do away with them. I'm just saying use a little bit more of the ESSER money, push that off a little bit. And what I'm looking at is the overall budget and trying to keep it to almost a 0% tax increase. So again, the new school is a little bit more palatable as we go forwards, and I think that's just got to be the feeling of the entire town. Again, and I did some numbers, the 3.6% instead of 3.9 is roughly $70,000 that you're looking at, which falls in just about what the 3 paraprofessionals are, and again, they can be paid out of the ESSER. That would be my thought.
Just a quick comment. You know, we're talking positions, eliminating funding, whatever. The school committee is autonomous. We give them X amount of dollars and they spend it any way we want to spend it. We have no control over that. But I want to respond to Kathy's remark. The school is at the 3.9, the school is asking for $1.3 million more this year than they had last year. They're receiving $2 million more from the state as well in Chapter 71. The paraprofessional and a new teacher would probably in the range of $150,000, $160,000 possibly. Out of 1.3 million, I think they're very affordable, and I would not want to see those positions cut after the great presentation you made, Kathy. You know, that's obviously needed, but that's a choice the school committee makes. I see Ralph's point also in extending, you know, the funding for ESSER, because they do have a very healthy amount from ESSER and have used it wisely in expanding curriculum and so forth. Last year, it was very defensible to give them everything that they asked for. And it seemed very reasonable. They explained a replacement of positions that through attrition had gone by the by, or through their own professional decision weren't needed anymore. That was fine. But we're in a different situation this year, I think, with $2 million more in Chapter 78. So I tend to, as an old experienced committee member, you know, I tend to go along with the 3.6, very aware that the school could still fund those positions.
At this point in time, we are at a little after 3. I would say we have some more discussion to go on it. So what I'd like to do is ask if we have any old, new business. Obviously, we will be continuing conversation. My plan is for next go round, police department, and then we open it up, and I would like to get through, because the school budget is the biggest piece of the pie, get through that. We've got time, we go through the rest. Then I can look and see where we sit in terms of the following meeting, and if we have to throw in another meeting, because I don't want to put us up against it in terms of budget deadlines, where we are not doing our due diligence and vetting everything out properly. So we'll have a clearer picture after next week, I would think. We've gotten a good base here, so do some thinking, chew it over, do some numbers, look at everything that we're faced with, which is the entire budget as a whole and then piecemeal as well. And if with that, would you like to move?
I would like to move to adjourn.
So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.